Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Astral Tourist podcast, where we explore strange landscapes, high strangeness encounters, and otherworldly experiences beyond the veil. Yeah, we adventure in many dimensions here. I'm your hostess, and today's episode is a strange one, even for me. So this journey involved masked pyramid UFOs, the Black Triangle kinds, that are often reported. I'm not the only one to have seen these, and I've seen them before, just not as large. Oh my gosh, they were so big. There was a guide I couldn't quite place, but he felt very familiar. And a surreal visit to what I can only call a mansion in the future. So let's fly. And yeah, that's from Star Trek Discovery. Kind of borrowed that there. I love that. Let's fly. So it all started with what I sometimes call the head exploding syndrome. It's one of the vibrational stage symptoms people can have pre-astral projection. As I was falling asleep, I felt this powerful surge of electrical energy rising up through my neck and into my head. And, I think it only began in my shoulder area. And if it began lower down, I couldn't feel it. I felt it through my shoulders. It was coming up. I knew it was going to happen. I was kind of braced for it because when I get this one, sometimes it's just so loud. It did feel intense, almost like I was being launched outward, but nothing happened at that moment. I was still laying there in bed. So the sensation often signals a very strong separation from the physical body. It felt kind of distant this time, like it was, by the time it actually went off, it felt like it was more in the back of my brain, like the primal centers of the brain in the back or something, even though I heard it more forward between my ears and a little bit forward of the ears, a little in my forehead. It's like, but by the time I could really process it, it happened so fast. I also felt like it was, there and in the past already, kind of echoing from the back of my brain and neck stem. So that's just, details for those who are interested in the head exploding syndrome. It is worth noting, I had an iced tea with dinner. So this is from last night. I went out to dinner with someone and we got iced teas. And normally I wouldn't do that. I don't usually have caffeine after lunchtime. That's just my general rule. But we had to order drinks to get like a special deal on the dinner. So I got an iced tea with no sugar. So it might have contributed to how far I ended up projecting or something, or just given me a little bit of more energy than I would usually have. So anyway, I was laying there waiting for it. I knew it was going to be a quick and fast astral projection. When I have the head exploding syndrome as a sign, things usually happen pretty quickly, and I know to stay alert. So I was staying alert, laying there in bed, and I was out. And as soon as I phased out, I was in my immediate neighborhood. I was met by a middle-aged man who seemed eager to get my attention. It kind of looked like he was across the road, pointing across our local lake here. And it's a place I recognize from my waking life. I still live pretty close to a lake. And there was this bright neon rainbow with dark purple colors and stuff forming over the distant mountains across the lake and over to our side and our side to it. And he telepathed really loudly from where he was located that it was important. So at first I thought the rainbow itself was the important part because this was all happening so fast. Usually I take more time popping out, but not always. And then I kind of have to orient and reorient and ground and stuff. And when I say ground, I don't mean in the physical world. I mean ground into the dimension and that part of the astral where I am. So someone I know in waking life here loves rainbows. So I just automatically and instinctively reached for my phone to take a picture. But the phone wouldn't work right. The pictures were all blurry. It also didn't look like one of my physical phones that I've ever had. It did resemble one of the astral phones that I've seen myself carry around, which is, I've learned, mainly for communication, like a telephone, not like a camera. So that's when I realized, even though I already knew I was out, I was like, more grounding, more realizing, all right, I'm out of body. All right, I'm out of body. I'm astral projecting. I commanded clarity now, just so I could get, better colors. Maybe some sounds if I was lucky. Remember, I don't usually hear that well in the astral unless somebody's actually like touching me, holding my hand, or I'm very close to some kind of a loud projection. And the scene did sharpen. And suddenly everything took on this reddish cast. The air, the light, even the lake water, everything just kind of switched to this reddish dimension. And then I saw them sitting right across the lake from my usual viewpoint of the lake. 3 enormous Black Triangle pyramid-shaped UFOs. These were bigger than any I have ever seen before. I have seen them in the astral. I've seen loads of them in the astral in smaller forms, but these were building-sized. Like, let me guess, like 30 stories high, maybe? And so, 2 of them were a little shorter, so maybe 25 stories or 20 stories. But there were 3. They were all huge, just sitting there parked on the lake, perfectly still. At first, I actually mistook them for pyramids. I was like, what are pyramids doing here? This area never had pyramids here. And then my brain was going, and I was like, no, these are those Black Triangle UFOs, only big, like super big giants. They were perfectly still, perfectly silent. There's this whole reddish cast going on. So they were masked, even in the astral, by the red tone in this little sub-dimension that had overtaken the environment when I did that clarity now. And the man who had helped me felt very strangely familiar. He had drifted over to me by then as I was like processing this and looking at his rainbow and these Black Triangle UFOs and stuff. And he apologized for interrupting my projection. He thought he had interrupted it. I don't think he did. I think he sped it up is what he actually did. But the word he used was interrupted, just for, the facts. So he said he thought I'd want to know they were in the area. And I just got so many goosebumps all over. And there's another reason for that as well. But anyway, as he spoke, his astral fingertips touched mine on my left hand, my left astral hand. And that helps me hear better in the astral. So he's somebody that already knows this about me. And, it's just a little graze of fingertips only. And I got a really strong sense of him. I think I might know who it is, but I don't want to jump to conclusions and say that I do know. So, we'll just call it a mystery for now. The mystery man, mystery guide, or just a good friend in the astral. Anyway, he did feel very familiar. So I'll leave it at that. And the other reason for the goosebumps is almost a week ago, I saw like 6 eagles acting very oddly. And I felt like there was something off about the whole area. But I kind of just dismissed it, Like you get these odd feelings when you're empathic and, there's a lot of energy around, people coming and going. And I also just moved recently, so I just kind of dismissed it, but I didn't dismiss the eagles. I've never seen 6 eagles working together like they were. They were skimming the tops of the maple trees here in the area, scouting around for something. And it was just so odd. And they were using a large area. They were going across the lake where I saw those UFOs. And they were coming back over to where I am on the lake and all the immediate neighborhood, surfing along the tops of the trees. At first I thought maybe they were looking for a little baby eagle chick that fell out, or maybe somebody stole one away from them or something. But now it makes more sense. So also I want to mention, I did not think it was a special sign for me. One circled me like not too long ago, and I thought that was, or could have been. But when 6 are working together like that, circling a wide area, plus I was getting all those weird vibes at the time, something's going on. So many times animals can sense things before we do. I didn't know maybe a big storm is coming. And I'm already feeling like here on the East Coast, we're going to get hit with a really strong winter, by the way. So I'm predicting that right now with loads of snow, at least in my area. So yeah, eagles doing that and 6 at a time working in unison is just incredible out here. They're lone creatures. They won't do that unless something is really going on. And I also want to reiterate that the eagles were here in the physical, not the astral. That this was a totally physical sighting. Like I said, I felt it. I felt the area. I felt something going on, and I kind of dismissed it, because I'm a busy person and I'm used to like just zoning out certain types of energies. But I filed it in the back of my mind because I knew that they don't do that normally, and I knew something was going on, and I hoped it would make sense later. And now it is. It's making a lot of sense because birds and cats, again, they pick up stuff like this. Whoever this man was asked how I was doing while we were fringing fingertips there. And I just told him, it's been a long week. And after that, I don't know if he left or just faded out or woke up. But that was that. So I kept looking across the lake for a while to see if there were any lights, to see if I could perceive any activity. In the physical. It's quite a distance, but in the astral, it doesn't seem like it's that far away. So they did not seem active. They were just parked, just there on top of the water, over by the other side of the lake, by the land over there, by the forest over there. I did not see any beings or lights or anything like that. They were just there, very quiet, masked in the red zone of the astral dimension. And I'm still going, wow. I wanted to investigate, but I woke up. So, I do plan to pop over there. I don't know if I'll be able to find it again without whoever that was, but I'm going to give it a go. So later in the evening, sometime after about 2:35 a.m., which is when I did wake back to bed method, I faced somewhere completely different, a giant mansion with expansive grassy grounds that stretched out like a natural amphitheater. There were various smaller hills and such. A concert was underway. I did not get to hear a lot of it, but I could hear certain frequencies. So I was, just trying to tune into the frequencies that I could. I want to say it was crowded, but it wasn't. I mean, there were loads of beings there, but they all had like a distance between them. So I'm not sure how many, maybe 3,000. I don't know. It's only a guess. I mean, this place was vast. So it felt less like entertainment and more like an energetic transmission to me, but it also felt like a big party too at the same time. The entire area buzzed with surreal, high-frequency energies. The host of the event eventually introduced himself to me. He was making his way around so many different people, and finally I got to meet him, and I'm not sure how, because I think I zoned out for a little while, and then I was like still there, and then there he was in front of me. He was tall, pale-skinned, almost glowing, with like thin bleached blonde hair. He had a very striking, tall, thin image, and it made me wonder if he's really a tall, white alien or not. And I'm just not 100% sure. A lot of times their skin comes off as super pale and almost like talc, like powder, but his had this strange glow to it, which could have just been his energy. So I don't know. It was a very striking kind of an image that he was putting off there. And I was just so happy to be there, like somewhere not having to deal with a ton of life stuff, And there was a woman with him with longer brownish curly hair, but she also had like that pale skin with the powdery touch to it. So I don't know if she was a tall white or not either, or if that's just her look there. And I remember when he introduced me to her, he called her Strong as a name, like Strong, Strong, which I took as kind of a metaphor in translation there, like maybe she's his protector or a guardian spirit type of being. But she definitely felt like, not like a ghost or something. She felt real, like one of those tall whites maybe, or a human. I didn't know at the time. I was a little bit zoned out still, I think. So he showed me this futuristic microphone, which was incredible. So this is high tech, and I knew I was in the future as soon as I saw that thing. So it was rather slim, a high tech object with 4 black broadcasting nodes running along there was this bit in the middle that was thicker along the stem, and each little of the 4 boxes was along that, pulsing with colored lights. And the microphone head was rounded like a standard podcast microphone, padded with a pop filter, but it radiated like with this, advanced energy. I was starting to tune into the future there. I was like, oh, all gung-ho for it. I've never seen anything like it. He told me telepathically it allowed him to broadcast across the entire landscape of his lands there, across the hills and meadows surrounding the estate, which in the center was this huge mansion. And he was showing me pictures and everything, the inside with the spiral staircases and stuff. And then later on, we actually went in there. And it didn't feel metaphorical at all. I mean, this is like his home or something. It felt very real. And the vibrations and everything, he was definitely transmitting. So anyway, the inside of the mansion, wow. I don't remember too many details, though. I just remember it was huge. I remember that's it's actually more of a semi-spiral staircase. And he and I and this woman Strong went into this room just to, relax and chat. And I'm sure I zoned out again. And then later, I remember leaving the mansion. I remember shaking hands goodbye and some kind of a nod to her. And I wandered the grounds a little bit, and I found the road out. It was kind of just like this dirt pathway, and it did not look futuristic at all. It looked like just this dirt pathway. And along it, on my way out, I hadn't really quite reached the gate yet, I don't think. I mean, remember, vast area here, like a big park or something. So I had a short conversation with the 2 men about the keys. So curious and still kind of half zoned out, I reached into my pocket and pulled my keys out. And what I found was my keychain was filled with all these golden metallic ID tags, each inscribed with identifiers connected to what I believed were people I knew in the area in that dimension. There were so many on there, like, I don't know, a couple hundred at least. They were thin, they were golden, they all were engraved with different people's idents and ways to reach them. So I just kind of waved them in front of the 2 men. And, these are astral access tags, what Monroe called idents. And then they could just help link you to people and network and to people, places. I noticed one was a veteran. It said veteran on it, and I didn't know a veteran of what or which war or which era or anything, but it really caught my attention. Like, oh, I got to visit him. I don't know which one it is, though, or who it is. So I think these men just were guards of the area, but I wasn't 100% sure, because if they were very good at their jobs, wouldn't they know who I was or why I was there or something? Or, I don't know. Maybe it was because I had stayed over. Like, everybody else was gone when I left that mansion. So I don't know how I was there for so long with those 2 people, but whoever they were. But I wasn't sure I trusted those 2 men belonged there either. Like, I was starting to second guess them. So I decided I wanted to report the interaction just to make sure. So I headed back to the mansion, because it wasn't that far away after all. I mean, it was, but I mean, I didn't know how much further I had to go to get out anyway, so I turned around. And by the time I arrived back, a new show had started, and somebody I overheard telepathing that the one I had seen was, I think, 2 or 3 days ago in the Astral, and this was a whole different show. And the last thing I wanted to do was interrupt a show. And I noticed as I was coming back into the area, the fields were now filled with holographic sheep, glowing and surreal. And I couldn't hear the music at all, but the whole atmosphere felt like it was like some kind of a psychedelic trance concert, across the whole grounds. Immersive, layered, deeply symbolic. So it also made me think about those UFOs. Like, we often hear that people will see weird things like deer that weren't there or something after they've encountered UFOs. So I was wondering if it was some kind of weird after effect from my observation of those Black Triangle pyramid ones. I don't think so. I really don't. It felt like I was in Europe, actually, somewhere in Europe, Northern Europe, for that concert. So what were those giant black pyramid UFOs doing parked on the lake? Why were they cloaked in the red frequency? Well, of course, because they didn't want to be spotted. But I don't know. Is there more to that red frequency, or is that just as easy as that? Is there any kind of a connection, again, between those craft and what I saw at the mansion with the concert, the Future Tech microphone, holographic sheep, which was so weird. But, again, like, this is psychedelic trance, a concert. So, yeah, I mean, there could easily be holographic sheep in the future populating the area, right? So why did I end up in what felt like a futuristic Europe at a concert, wandering the grounds of a trance party instead of investigating those UFOs? Now, I know I would have wanted to go investigate those. So I'm wondering, maybe I did and I forgot about it. There's a lot to unpack. Maybe I tried and I couldn't get there without extra help or something. Maybe I couldn't unlock that dimension on my own. But that's what this is all about, traveling to the edges of consciousness and reporting back as I see it. I'm not going to make something up I didn't see. So that's what I have. And I often come back with even more questions than answers. So I am still going to get to the Saturn episode and the full moon episode. I just wanted to get to this one right away because of the UFOs there, and to make sure I'm recounting the experience with all the vivid details that I could right away. The other episodes are coming. I have written them down so I won't forget the details of those. But this was just, it seemed really important. I don't know why, but it did. And even a guide showed up, or a friend or something, to point them out to me. And then with the eagles and everything, it just felt like I needed to get this out there. So that's why I'm doing this one before the others, and I'll just have to get caught back up on the others. So thanks for tuning into the Astral Tourist. If this episode stirred something deep inside or sparked your own memories of UFO encounters, astral travels, masked dimensions, strange tech from the future, I'd love to hear about it. Please like, subscribe, and share the show. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave comments and questions. I welcome them. I've been a little behind on things, but I will get to them as soon as I can. I'm still battling with some fatigue here and such, but I'm slowly getting unpacked and caught up, and then I got landed with this. So that's astral travel for you. Happy astral travels, everyone. Lots of love.